The last time the village of Ikon felt such silence was when the chief's son died in a boating accident. But today, it wasn't death that silenced the community, it was a whisper. A single word, no louder than the rustle of cassava leaves in the dry harmattan wind. The woman arrived just after dawn. She walked barefoot into the village square, her steps soundless, her white wrapper brushing against her ankles. She carried nothing but a leather satchel slung across her chest. Her hair was shaved clean, her eyes intense, and her skin carried the dust of distant lands. No one knew where she came from. No one dared ask. Not until she collapsed in front of the village shrine. Chief Aduk was summoned at once. "Who is she?" he asked the growing crowd. "She hasn't said a word," replied the young herbalist, Osahon. "But she keeps holding this satchel close." The village elders circled the woman as Osahon applied herbs to her cracked lips. Moments later, her eyelids fluttered open. Her gaze fell upon Chief Aduk, then shifted to the shrine of Obagbe, the deity of truth and revelation. She leaned forward weakly and motioned for Aduk to come closer. And then she whispered one word. "Mawusi." The moment the word left her lips, she slumped forward and vanished, right before the eyes of 20 villagers. Gone. No puff of smoke. No flash of light. Just gone. Panic followed. Osahon dropped a bowl of herbs. A child screamed. Someone shouted that it was a trick of the gods, another claimed it was witchcraft. But none of them could deny what they saw with their own eyes. A woman came. She whispered. She vanished. And that word, Mawusi, would change everything. The elders gathered at once in the chief's compound. "Mawusi," repeated Elder Namek. "That name hasn't been spoken here in 20 years. A chill fell over the room. "Who was she?" asked Osahon, now seated quietly in a corner. "Mawusi was my twin sister," Chief Aduk said at last, his voice low and grave. "But she died. Or so we believed." "You never told us you had a twin," Osahon said carefully. "She disappeared during the war with the Otokpo clan. The enemy raided our village at night, and she vanished. We searched for weeks, but we only found her locket, smeared with blood, at the edge of the Odin forest." Chief Aduk walked to his old wooden chest, pulling out an item wrapped in cloth. He unwrapped it slowly, a small, rusted locket with the engraving, "To Mawusi, my son." "She was only 17, he added. "But what if she didn't die?" Osahon asked. "What if that woman was Mawusi? She didn't look like her. And she disappeared before I could ask anything. Still, why whisper her own name before vanishing?" Osahon rose, stepping forward. "We must investigate. I want to go to the Odin forest. If something happened to her there 20 years ago, maybe it's connected to this." Chief Aduk nodded reluctantly. "Take Te and Kihind. Leave at dawn." As Osahon prepared to leave, the entire village buzzed with rumors. Old women whispered about shapeshifters. Young men vowed they saw the woman levitate. Children refused to go near the shrine. And all the while, the word Mawusi echoed in everyone's mind like a haunting song. The Odin forest was thick with age. Trees twisted into each other like locked arms, and vines clung to trunks like memories unwilling to let go. Osahon moved carefully, machete in hand, Te and Kihind following closely. The deeper they went, the more unnatural the air felt, too cold for daylight, too quiet for a forest. Then they found the circle. It was a ring of stones, blackened and cracked, surrounding a tree that had been split in half by lightning. At the center of the circle was a grave. Fresh. No name. No marker. Just freshly turned earth. "This shouldn't be here," Kihind muttered. Osahon crouched near the grave and touched the soil. Still damp. Recently dug. And then he saw it, half buried in the corner, another locket. This one newer. Shaped like a moon. He picked it up, opened it, and froze. Inside was a drawing of a woman. The same woman who vanished. Tay leaned over his shoulder. That's her. The one from the shrine. She buried this, Osahon said. Or someone buried her. Suddenly, a wind blew through the trees, so strong that it knocked all three men backward. From the tree above them, a soft voice whispered. Return, what was taken? The voice didn't come from a person. It came from the wind itself. Back in the village, Osahon met with Chief Aduk once more. She's not just your sister. She was a seer, wasn't she? Osahon accused. Aduk looked away. She was gifted, he admitted. She could sense truth hidden to others. My father wanted to keep it secret, said the people wouldn't understand. But I think she saw something that made her run. Or made someone silence her, Osahon replied. They brought the locket to Elder Naimike, who opened the back compartment. A slip of folded parchment fell out. On it were strange symbols, old script, half in Yoruba, half in Adinkra. Elder Naimike gasped. These are the marks of the Oracle of Oroba. But that shrine has been abandoned for over a century, said Osahon. Not abandoned, corrected the elder. Sealed. Because it holds what should never be spoken. Osahon read the symbols aloud slowly. When he reached the last line, the fire beside them dimmed as though the room itself were holding its breath. The last line read. She who speaks the forbidden name shall return in whisper and vanish in truth. They all looked at one another in horror. The woman didn't whisper her name. She whispered the name of what's hidden. Mawusi wasn't a person. It was the name of something much worse. That night, Osahon couldn't sleep. He dreamed of the woman again, standing in the forest, her eyes bleeding, mouth sewn shut. In the dream, she tried to scream, but only the word Mawusi escaped. At dawn, he gathered a few villagers and returned to the grave. But the grave was gone. No sign of digging. No stones. No split tree. Only untouched forest. It was as if it had never existed. Except for the locket. Still in his pocket. Osahon decided he had to visit the Oracle of Oroba, the seal temple hidden in the cliffs beyond the river. Few dared go near it. The legends said the ground around it could swallow men whole. But Osahon had made up his mind. With Tay and Kihind again by his side, they crossed the river and climbed for hours until they reached the stone gates, massive slabs carved with stories of wars, demons, and whispering women. And there, on the gates, was the same symbol on the locket. A half-sun, half-moon, joined at the center. Mawusi, Osahon whispered. The gate creaked open. Inside the temple was darkness, but not emptiness. Voices echoed in languages unknown. Paintings glowed faintly on the walls, images of women cloaked in white, offering blood at the feet of a horned statue. Osahon approached the altar. A single book lay upon it, bound in leather, covered in dust. He opened it. Each page told the story of a being, Mawusi, not a goddess, not a demon, but a curse. Long ago, a woman named Mawusi was sacrificed by her own tribe to stop a great war. Her final word before dying became a binding spell, used to seal away truths too dangerous to know. That word, Mawusi. But the spell was flawed. Every 100 years, Mawusi returned, not as a woman, but as a whisper. She would choose a body, appear in a village, and speak the word. And then vanish. Each time she did, a truth would rise. A truth so powerful it could destroy or save everything. Osahon fell to his knees. They hadn't seen a woman vanish. They had heard the return of truth. Upon returning to Ikon, Osahon called the elders. I believe Mawusi has chosen us, he said. But I don't know why. Chief Aduk stood, his face pale. Because I lied. Everyone turned to him. Mawusi was never taken by raiders. My father ordered her silenced. She had seen something that would have destroyed the village's authority. She saw that the shrine of Obagbe was built over the bones of murdered children, victims of a deal made for prosperity. The room fell silent. My father made a pact with a foreign priest. Blood for rain. Bonds for wealth. And when Mawusi saw the truth, she threatened to tell. Chief Aduk's voice cracked. He ordered her buried alive in the Odin forest. Gasps filled the room. Now her spirit returns, Osahon said, to speak what was once silenced. Chief Aduk stepped outside and walked to the shrine. Then he lit it on fire. The flames engulfed the wooden post, the idols, the offerings. As it burned, a loud wind swept through the village, carrying with it the faint whisper once more. Mawusi. But this time, it wasn't a warning. It was a release. 3 days after the fire, rain fell on Ikon for the first time in months. Crops bloomed. The river swelled with fish. Children laughed again. And in the forest, a tree grew where the grave once stood. White flowers bloomed around its base. At its root lay 2 lockets, joined together, sun and moon now as one. And the whisper was gone. Forever.